At first glance, this might look like a normal scene from World War I. On the right is a trench, something that became a marker of the war. To the left, a soldier. What's more remarkable though is what the soldier is looking at. It's a battered tree, torn apart by the constant shelling. Except, this actually isn't a tree at all, or not a real one anyway. This is in fact a camouflage tree, a fake piece of shrubbery forged out of iron and bark. So, how exactly did this strange shrub come to find its home on the Western Front? And who put it there in the first place? During World War I, both sides on the Western Front became locked in trench warfare as the conflict clogged into a stalemate. Carved up to 12 feet in the French and Belgian landscape, the trenches made it impossible to observe enemy movements. So, to gain the upper hand in the stalemate, the Allied soldiers needed to somehow see the enemy without being seen. The conflict was at its most clogged in 1915. That led the French army to create the Section du Camouflage. This unit, comprised of artists and creatives, were responsible for creating military camouflage. Their work included papier-mâché sniper heads, fake tanks, and military camouflage. But the most ambitious project undertaken by the Section du Camouflage was the observation tree. Invented by French painter Lucien Victor Grand d'Escovola, the idea was to construct an iron lookout post camouflaged with bark to make it appear to be a real tree. By May 1915, the first fake tree had been erected during the Second Battle of Artois. From these hidden vantage points, observers could relay critical information back to command centres, aiding in the coordination of troop movements and artillery barrages. Following on from the Section du Camouflage's success, the French army subsequently shared the design with the British Army, who assigned Solomon Joseph Solomon to lead a programme to make a British camouflage tree in March 1916 near the front line at Ypres. Solomon directed artist and sculptor Leon Underwood of the Royal Engineers Camouflage Section to construct the tree. Though it may not sound it, this was a daring task. Underwood selected a dead willow tree in no man's land between trenches. Then, just as dawn approached, he crawled into position, getting the German view of what the dead willow looked like. The sketch had to be precise, yet it had to be done quickly, for the plan could be uncovered by the enemy, or worse, the artist could be killed. After extensive sketches, photographs and measurements were taken, the work behind the scenes began. The information would be brought back to a workshop where artists created an exact replica of the outline of the tree. As for the casting, the bark was expertly crafted from wrinkled paper iron. To make it seem even more realistic, artists would often cover it with a rough textured mixture made from pulverized seashells. Solomon went a step further, asking King George himself for permission to use the bark of a willow from his garden at Windsor Castle, to which the king obliged. Equally as important though was the interior of the tree. Each replica was hollow, as the fake bark wrapped around an inner armoured tube designed to protect any soldier inside. Soldiers could reach near the top of the fake tree by climbing a narrow rope ladder until they reached a metal seat at the summit. For further protection, the soldier faced a solid metal wall and could only observe the scene by using a periscope. But for all that to happen, the fake tree had to be constructed in the first place, and that was no mean feat. Anyone seen on the front lines would be shot down by the enemy within seconds. So, for the plan to come off, the fake tree had to be installed at night. A team of engineers tore down the original tree under the cover of artillery fire to soften the sound of their work. Then, a hole would be dug in its place before the observation post was installed. When morning came, the scene would be the same, except the withered tree was now a hollow armoured vessel concealing a soldier at its summit. By 1916, a greater emphasis was put on concealing gun positions rather than creating observation posts, suggesting these fake trees work better in theory than in practice. Despite that, the inventive work of the Section du Camouflage and their peers proved how the tactics of the war were rapidly evolving. During the Second World War, the role of camouflage became an even more prominent part of the warfare. Though the tangible effect of fake trees wasn't markable in World War I, the work of the Section du Camouflage pioneered innovative and creative tactics that would shape warfare right up to the present day.